Well, hey there, it's Brent Adams with Inside Farm Life, and I'm back with another episode, another busy week this week, and we started off talking with Adam Reed, who is the Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Versatile. They've got a couple new high horsepower tractors that they've introduced for the 2022 production season, and you can see those at Farm Progress in Decatur, Illinois in August and early September. You can find out about them right here on Inside Farm Life. Then our buddy Jesse Allen is putting the Brazilian corn crop under the microscope in this week's installment of Market Talk. And our buddy the hot rod farmer Ray Bohax is talking heat soak this week in bushels and cents. And finally, we take things back to the country with singer-songwriter Kirsty Krause, who has a new song out, getting ready to put out a new album, and you're going to want to hear all about that. She's a great talent out of Nashville by way of Wisconsin, true to her Wisconsin roots, just a great artist and a great person, and we're thrilled to have her on the show. Well, I tell you what, we've got a lot going on here these next few weeks. If you haven't already had a chance to check out the live streams, I did one with Brandon Deal this week, tackling the mental health issues and mental health help, and we talked with Jeff Ditzenberger, who is a mental health advocate and farmer in Wisconsin. We also talked with Matt Miles, who is a farmer in Arkansas. So I hope you go back and give that a look. That's on the Facebook page for Farm Life. Then on Friday, we talked with Rob LaRue, who is the president of the National Farmers Union, and you can hear some outtakes of that on next week's podcast, episode 5. So hope you be on the lookout for that. Also, we've got another live stream coming up this coming Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern, with American Farm Bureau Federation President Zippy Duval. He's been traveling the country talking with farmers and ranchers, hearing about their concerns and their opportunities. So we're going to hear what he's finding out there, and also talk about some of Farm Bureau's key legislative priorities for the rest of this year and into the future. So I hope you join us 3 p.m. Eastern on the Farm Life Facebook page and also the YouTube channel. We've got so much that we're building towards here as we get to these farm shows and conferences and conventions. Another week of work has gone into farmlifemedia.com. That's going to be launching here soon, so you're going to want to be paying attention to the socials for details on that. We're going to have the podcasts. We're going to have the internet radio station, which you can hear now at live365.com, and search Farm Life. We're streaming 24/7, giving you traditional country music, a little bluegrass, a little gospel. We're going to be putting some unique programming on there as well. So I hope you give all of that a check. But for now, I want to present to you this week's episode of Inside Farm Life.
Welcome to Inside Farm Life, your weekly connection to agriculture newsmakers, hot-button industry issues, educational features, and the best in true country music. Now, here's your host, Brent Adams.
Well, welcome to another episode of Inside Farm Life. We thank you for giving us some of your time this week. On this episode, we talk with Versatile's Adam Reed about the company's new high-horsepower tractor models. Jesse Allen recaps the week's market action in our Market Talk segment, and the hot rod farmer Ray Bohax is talking heat soak in this week's installment of Bushels and Cents. And later in the show, we'll take things back to the country with singer-songwriter Kirsty Krause. But first, some news. Local Farm Service Agency offices will soon accept applications for a new program assisting livestock and poultry producers financially affected by the pandemic. USDA Radio's Rod Bain has more.
A newly announced aspect of the Agriculture Department's Pandemic Assistance for Producers initiative is focused on livestock and poultry producers. According to Farm Service Agency Administrator Zach Ducheneau,
these producers who had to euthanize or otherwise dispose of animals because slaughter capacity just wasn't there because of the pandemic
incurred financial losses as well as costs associated with herd and flock depopulation and disposal. Under the Pandemic Livestock Indemnity Program,
producers that meet the qualifications will be paid based on 80% of the fair market value of their livestock and poultry, and for the cost of depopulation and disposal of the animal based on a single payment rate per head.
With sign-up at local FSA offices beginning on July 20th. More details about the Pandemic Livestock Indemnity Program are also found online at www.farmers.gov. I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
Also this week, the USDA offered up its latest outlook for the nation's corn crop. USDA Radio Stephanie Ho has the latest.
USDA's latest outlook for corn shows a tightening of ending stocks.
We also increased our season average price forecast for the old crop by 5 cents a bushel, up to $4.40 per bushel.
World Agricultural Outlook Board Chair Mark Jekanowski adds that some corn was marketed earlier in the year at a much lower price.
We increased our production forecast, and that reflects the June acreage data that was released on June 30th, which showed an increase of about 1.5 million acres of corn planted and harvested area up by about 1 million acres.
Meanwhile,
we didn't make any changes to our yield forecast. We don't get any new yield data from NASS this month. But we do watch the weather, and if there are, if there are reasons that we think that we should adjust our yield, we would. But this month we kept yields steady on trend.
And this week, the USDA made a notable downward adjustment for spring wheat yield.
Yields tend to grow over time, which means that the latest sharp drop in yields for other spring wheat is noteworthy.
When one thinks about kind of a deviation from normal, this is a big yield adjustment in terms of what they are predicting right now for yields for other spring wheat. And I guess I would compound that against what were record high other spring wheat yields last year.
USDA Chief Economist Seth Meyer points to the negative impact of the drought.
I think we see similar deviations when it comes to, hits on production for oats and for barley. Some of that being an area effect and some of it being a yield effect.
Meanwhile, he also points to winter wheat yields,
which are record high in places like Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. And then you get the opposite of that, not record lows, but very low yields in North Dakota, South Dakota, and Montana.
This is Stephanie Ho for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
And we'll have more on the markets in our Market Talk segment with Jesse Allen later in the show. Finally this week, a development that many farmers and ranchers are following closely. An official with the EPA says the agency will once again try to formulate a new Waters of the U.S. rule, but will learn from the mistakes in previous attempts. Gary Crawford explains.
We open with this sound. Ping pong game, of course, which in a roundabout way connects to the prickly issue of the many attempts to formulate a Waters of the U.S. rule.
For over a decade, we've had multiple lawsuits. It seems like every time there's an election, this rule gets rewritten, and we want to stop that ping pong.
So the ball is now in EPA's court again, and Radhika Fox with EPA's Water Program Office told a congressional hearing this week that they are going to try again to come up with a rule.
But we're going to do it in a way that is grounded in learning from the lessons of the past. We're going to understand what worked and what didn't about the pre-2015 WOTUS definition.
She said they will begin later this summer with a lot of listening sessions from the general public, also with every group that has a stake in the Waters of the U.S. rule, including, of course, agriculture. Gary Crawford reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington.
Many companies promise increased yields and a higher return on investment, but again and again, results show that one company stands apart from the rest. Concept Agritech delivers innovative concepts utilizing the latest technologies in agronomy, biology, and chemistry to enhance soil and plant health with seed treatment, planter-applied fertilizers, foliar fertilizers, and full-season soil treatment solutions. To find out how to put Concept Agritech to work for you, visit conceptagritech.com. Concept Agritech. Technology where you need it most.
And now, what is your goat saying? That is a pretty sweet shirt you got on there. Did you get that from GoatLifeClothing.com? Very humorous and stylish. No, you cannot eat this shirt. I know it looks tasty. GoatLifeClothing.com.
Well, next up on Inside Farm Life, equipment manufacturer Versatile has long been known for its hulking, powerful tractors and the trademark red, yellow, and black livery. And recently, the company turned some heads with some new models for the 2022 production year. So today, we wanted to bring in Adam Reed, Versatile's Vice President of Sales and Marketing, to tell us all about them. And Adam, welcome into Inside Farm Life.
Hey, thanks for having me, Brent.
So the Versatile Delta Track and four-wheel drive models, the 530, 580, and 620 will include more power, improved features, newly available options, and updated appearance. Tell us a bit about what was behind the thinking for the features behind these new machines.
Well, we can take a quick step back and go backwards through your list, I guess. So the appearance was pretty easy. We've been toying with a bit of a slightly different color scheme. We wanted to go to a black frame, just adds a more aggressive look to it. And since we were doing that, we decided that we'd update the decal as well because we had to put some new model numbers on the sides. So, little changes can make a big difference. That black frame really stands out. And on units that have the PTO, we left the PTO shaft red. So in the articulation joint, there's a red PTO shaft in there among all the black. So from a pure marketing visibility standpoint, it looks pretty cool. We're pretty pleased with how that all came out. We've been working on this for a few years now. We would consider this to be a mid-cycle refresh. We've had this tractor in its current form since 2018. So what we wanted to do was add a little bit more power to each of the models, which is how we ended up. We added 10 horsepower to our 520, so it's a 530. The 570 is now a 580, and our 606 is now a 616, which we call the 620. So with that, we had to update the cooling package, so it's got a slightly bigger fan on it just to accommodate the extra power through that engine. And the engine is a Cummins X15, so Versatile has been using Cummins exclusively for more than 50 years. The first Versatiles rode off the line in 66 and 67 with Cummins. We've been with Cummins ever since. It's definitely one of the hallmarks that we have. And they're a great partner to us. We've always been very pleased with the performance of our Cummins engine. And I think, the old cliche, I think it may have been Mopar Dodges of the 70s that said there's no replacement for displacement. So we've got that big 15 liter in there. And it's just a real slick engine for us. Uh, Second part of that is our other partner is Cat. So, of course, Versatile is known for our, you know, components tractor, things that are easy to service, easy to replace. And one of our other partners is Caterpillar. So we have a TA22 transmission. We've been using that transmission for, I think we started using the Cat transmission in '07 or '08. So it's a proven transmission. We did do some tweaks to it just to improve the inching pedal, a little bit of consistency. And then, of course, a lot of modern tractors, because of all the power we have coming out of the engine, there's some torque limitations there. And really, that's to protect the transmission from any kind of unwanted damage, even though it's an industrial transmission in an ag application. But through some fine tuning and working with Caterpillar, we were able to reduce some of those limitations. So there's more torque available in the lower gears, which is something, of course, when you're starting off in the field under a heavy pull, more torque is obviously better, but you don't want to damage the transmission. So we've been able to make some changes to that so that there's more torque available at the in the lower gears. So between the Cummins engine, Cat transmission, we've got a really good setup. Interesting story actually. Back in the mid 2000s, when we were trying to get Cat and Cummins together, of course, it's all about industrial secrets between those two companies. They're competitors in lots of segments. And the two of them couldn't figure out how they were going to get the Versatile programmed because Cat didn't want Cummins in Peoria and Cummins didn't want Cat in Indianapolis. So what we ended up doing is we brought representatives from both companies. The engineers came to Winnipeg, Manitoba in February, and it truly was the Great White North, and they were at our test site near the city. And it was about minus 40. Doesn't matter what side of the temperature gauge you're looking at, it's minus 40. And those groups of people decided the next time they had to work on a Versatile tractor, they'd try to find a way to do it in Indiana or Illinois. So we got that problem solved, and we all get along pretty well now. But as far as I know, we're the only manufacturer that uses that combination of a Cummins engine and a Cat transmission. So we're pretty proud of that combination, and of course, just making improvements to it for the model year 2022.
One other feature there is a larger cooling package designed to improve airflow and cooling capacity, and cleaner air also means more power. And I know that's going to be of great interest to many operators, especially those facing increasingly extreme weather conditions like we've seen over the past couple of years.
Oh, yeah, it takes a lot of power to cool those engines. So what we've done, we've got two fan options, bigger fan for this year. There's the fixed fan, and then there's also a FlexAir fan that has a reversible feature on it. So what it does, the blades adjust based on what kind of cooling power is required. So it's pulling less power off the engine to run the cooling fan. So that's been very popular. I would say the majority of our large tractors go out with that feature on it. The other advantage to that is if you're using the tractor, say for fall tillage, or using it to pull a grain cart, it does have the reversible option. So instead of having to spend a lot of time at the end of the day blowing out the rat at the front or blowing out the grill, you hit a button on the screen, it flips the fins, blows the air back out, and you just get right on back into the field. So that's been a nice feature for us. We've had that for quite a few years. We just tweaked it again, made it bigger, more efficient for model year 2022. And then there's a few other features that we've added, changed up the hydraulics a little bit, simplified the hydraulics. Of course, Versatile is known for its simplicity. We try to keep everything as simple as we can. So we've made some minor changes to the hydraulics for this year, particularly for implements that have a big draw for hydraulics. I know in Western Canada, the Northern Plains, a lot of that is those air drills, and those big air carts need a lot of fan power. So we've tweaked that again, more efficiency and more power through the hydraulics there. And then just a few nice things to have, like I said about the paint scheme earlier. More creature comforts. We made some changes to the operator's seat. Especially during harvest when you're pulling the grain cart, or in seating when you're in that tractor for 2-3 weeks straight. You want it to be comfortable. So we just upgraded the seat compared to previous models. We added a new monitor available. Of course, monitors just seem to keep getting bigger and bigger. At some point we might have a 50-inch TV screen in the cab, but we went from 10-inch to 12-inch as an option. So 12-inch monitor accommodates more cameras, things like that. It's just a little bit easier to view and move things around. So that's an option. And minor thing that is actually looks pretty cool is we added these new beacons. Of course, a lot of people think of beacons for the highway as, they sit foot off the top of the cab, that kind of thing. Well, these are more like, to use a Canadian reference, I guess, they're more like hockey pucks. And it's all LEDs. So they're a lot more visible, they're a lot less intrusive, and they light things up. The other thing that we've done, speaking of light things up, is more lights. More lights is always better. Anybody that's operated a tractor after dark has never ever said, man, this is too bright. So we kind of went all in on the LEDs. So we've got 21 lights in our biggest package, our highest lumen package. It's more than 45,000 lumens. So by comparison to where we were even 6-7 years ago, that's almost 20 times as much as we used to have. So, I mean, it is a very impressive package. Working longer hours, later at night, want to be able to see. So, we've now got that optional light package as well. And yeah, it's pretty impressive. It lights up the night sky very, very well. So, again, a lot of the changes, the more horsepower has been great. Less torque limitations will be very helpful. I think everyone's going to be happy with that. And again, a lot of it's some creature comforts added as well, just because you're spending more time in the tractor cab these days.
And we also want to make sure we throw in there audio system enhancements, of course, for listening to Inside Farm Life when you take it with us on those long days, especially since you can light things up and work longer, and you've got a comfortable seat. Everything fits right together there. And I tell you what, Eric, for people who want to get up close and personal with these new machines, I understand they're going to be on display at the Farm Progress Show in Decatur, Illinois, which is August 31st through September 2nd, and at AgriTrade in Red Deer, Alberta in November, the 10th through the 12th.
Yeah, we're pretty excited. So we're going to load one of these up and take it to the show in Decatur, first public showing of one of these tractors. So yeah, we're pretty excited about that. First public unveiling of a new tractor is always pretty exciting. And so we're going to take one to Decatur.
Excellent. So we can't wait to get up close and personal with that and kick the tires. I know orders are going to be taken for these new tractors beginning this fall. In the meantime, anybody who wants to go check out the latest from Versatile, where can they go to do that?
Versatile-ag.com is the website. Of course, we'll have a whole smattering of products at the show in Decatur, where we manufacture, some people may not be aware, but we manufacture a front wheel assist tractor from 175 all the way to 365. There's 2 series in that. And then, of course, we've got 2 series of 4-wheel drive. We've got the 405 to 460, and then the new 530 up to 620. And then we also have the track machine, which we call the Delta Track, and that is 530 to 620. And I believe we'll have a 620 Delta Track on display at the show in Decatur this year. So coming fresh from the factory, heading down to that show. their production begins on these tractors this fall. Dealers have all the information. They're taking orders now for anyone that wants to get ahead of the lineup for them.
So make sure you go and check all those out. And Eric, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here on Inside Farm Life. I hope you come back soon to share with us the latest from Versatile.
Thanks, Brent. Thanks for having me.
And again, we've been speaking with Adam Reed, the Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Versatile. Like a championship caliber baseball team, your fungicide has to be tough, and Concept Agritech has the solution many of America's top growers trust. BioAid is an EPA-registered fungicide that delivers an initial contact kill of a wide range of fungal pests and is safe to the user and the environment. To find out more about how BioAid can help you increase your yields and deliver a higher return on investment, visit conceptagritech.com. Concept Agritech, technology where you need it most. Well, next up on Inside Farm Life, earlier in the show, we talked about the USDA's outlook for U.S. corn. And in this week's Market Talk update, Jesse Allen and Mike Zuzolo put Brazil's corn crop under the microscope. Jesse.
Well, thank you once again, Brent. And for our Inside Farm Life Market Talk update here this week, we're talking with Mike Zuzolo of Global Commodity Analytics. Couple topics that we had on the show earlier this week on Wednesday included the Brazil corn crop, and how come that story about the challenges there has seemingly kind of gone by the wayside here in our market trade as of late, as we focused more and more on U.S. weather. But that short Brazil crop is going to have an impact, and Mike gives us the latest updates he has and insights into the Brazil crop and how that could factor in.
Really do think it goes back to the wheat market, because the USDA Ag Attaché did a China update about a week or so ago. Can't remember who it was, livestock or feed, but he talked specifically about, for the better part of the last month, the Chinese have been buying more wheat, and especially from Australia, of all places, because they're in kind of a tough trade war issue between those two countries. But they've been buying a lot of feed wheat. The rest of Asia has been buying a lot of feed wheat, and it's really put the cap on the corn market. So that's, I think, point number one is the end user, the global end user especially, needs to come off the sidelines and come off the fence and start buying again. I think point number two, and this is what I think is probably the most indicative of how bad that crop is. I think it's bad. I think it's probably closer to 90. I don't know if it's below 90, but I think it's closer to 90 million tons. That would be 3 million less than what USDA just gave us. That's a big number when you're talking about tight global stocks. World corn stocks right now are running about 24.5, 24.6%. That doesn't sound like it's really tight, but historically that's a fairly tight number. So if Brazil drops another 3 million tons, what should happen? Well, Brazil's price should go up at the port, shouldn't it? Well, that's not what's happened yet, except this past week. I did some digging, and it looked like we've gone from about $240 a ton to $260 a ton just in the last 7 or 8 days. U.S. Gulf prices, after this big rally on Tuesday, was up to around $285 a ton. So now we're starting to see the Brazilian price escalate, and I think that's going to continue. And if that's the case, end users would, I think, psychologically say, the low's in. I'm not going to get it any cheaper, and I know I got to get it on the water in the next 30 days. I better get some corn bought here before I have to pay 10 or 15 or 20% more than what I was expecting. So I'd be looking for that here in the next 10 days for end users to really come in and start buying. We've not seen any of those big daily export sales reports, that have been flashes by the USDA from China or Mexico. And I think this all goes back to the end user and the feed wheat and waiting for the USDA report, waiting for the rains in the United States. So I think all things are coming together here in the next 5 to 10 days. We should see the end users come off the fence. That should bring Brazil back into the spotlight, in my opinion.
We also talk with Mike about the livestock market here this past week and anything he's seeing in both cattle and hogs we need to watch for.
Yeah, I think they're kind of trapped, both of them at this point. Trapped from a standpoint of the funds being in them, and trapped from a standpoint of the fundamentals of the menu prices that I talked about at the top of the show. And just the consumer demand probably really getting hit right now between the gas prices, food prices, house prices, whatever prices you're talking about. Most consumption is getting hit very hard right now. And I think that's going to end up being an issue in the restaurants and in the grocery stores, Jesse. However, I think while the demand side is weak, and this may be familiar listening or familiar words from our previous discussions, supplies are coming down. And I saw USDA cut by 400 million pounds the 2022 pork production number. So hogs at $100, $105 in the deferred contracts seemed very high to me, before the USDA report. They don't seem so high after that kind of a big cut. Similarly, in the beef side, we've seen now another big cut week over week on dressed weights. I think it was down 3 pounds this past week. That takes us down 23 pounds versus year ago levels. So I think we're very current in the cattle market. I think we're very current in the hog market. So I think we're kind of trapped between weakening demand and falling supply. Now, one of the two things on the cattle market, real briefly, there's a big disconnect in the futures market. Feeder futures before Wednesday were running $5-7 premium to the Oklahoma City cash price, while cash fat cattle were running $3 to $4 premium to the August fat cattle price. So it looks a lot better of a hedge to go after feeders, given the futures premium, and just stay current on your fat cattle marketings in the cash market.
Again, that's comments with Mike Zuzolo of Global Commodity Analytics from last Wednesday's episode of Market Talk. You can listen to the full episode as well as all the past episodes that air each weekday, as well as our midday commentaries with Arlen Suderman of StoneX and more. You can do all that by going online to markettalkag.com. This has been the Inside Farm Life Market Talk update for this week in Nashville. I'm Jesse Allen reporting.
And as always, you can find Jesse's daily market updates at markettalkag.com. Again, that's markettalkag.com. And you can find him by searching Market Talk on Facebook. He also appears on the American Ag Network, and you can hear him host Your Ag Today, weekday mornings about 6:50 a.m. Eastern on SiriusXM Satellite Radio, Rural Radio, Channel 147. Well, next up on Inside Farm Life, too much heat under the hood can be devastating for your vehicle or farm equipment. And in this week's installment of Bushels and Cents, our buddy the hot rod farmer Ray Bohacz wants to help you avoid heat soak.
Welcome to Bushels and Cents on Farm Machinery Digest Radio, heard exclusively on SiriusXM Channel 147 Rural Radio. I am your host, Ray Bohacz, the hot rod farmer. And never forget, it is not what you make, but what you keep that counts. Minimizing heat soak is the simplest way to extend the life of every underhood component. High temperatures decrease the life of gaskets, electronics, rubber components, and even the cylinder head. The underhood temperature rises when the engine is shut off since the cooling system is no longer functioning. The heat from combustion then migrates into every component. This is called thermal excursion. To limit this effect is simple. When possible, idle the engine for around 60 seconds before shutting it down and then open the hood. Agriculture runs on machinery, profits on reliability. Visit farmmachinerydigest.com, where steel and soil meet.
And you can check out all of Ray Bohacz's great multimedia content at farmmachinerydigest.com. And if you like what you hear there, you can catch him each week on Farm Machinery Digest Radio on SiriusXM Rural Radio, Channel 147. It airs each Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern and again on Sundays at 6 p.m. Eastern, so I hope you go and give him a listen. Gateway Seed Company was founded in 1997 on a simple principle. It doesn't start with the seed, it starts with the farmer. We pride ourselves in doing all we can to understand our customers' farming operations. We take the time to listen to their concerns, then focus on providing a solution to address their specific needs. Gateway Seed offers seed corn with trait packages from Bayer and soybeans with trait packages from Bayer, Corteva, and BASF. To learn more about how Gateway Seed can boost your yields and increase your return on investment, visit gatewayseed.com. With the business out of the way, now it's time to take things back to the country. And this week, we catch up with singer-songwriter Kirsty Krause, who's out on tour now, performing with the likes of Lanco, Drake White, and Kip Moore. And she has a new single, Bird, that was just released, and we'll tell you all about that here in a bit. But first of all, Kirsty, welcome into Inside Farm Life, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Well, before we go any further, tell the folks about yourself and what got you from your hometown of Janesville, Wisconsin to Music City, USA, Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, I started singing when I was 2 years old. I started getting on stages when I was 4 and 5 and doing plays, etc. Anything you think of, I was a part of. Even then eventually got into the cover band world and was doing all the festivals up there and knew that it was time. I was kind of slowly gearing up. So I started visiting Nashville first time when I was 11, but doing regular visits when I was 15, started writing with people when I was 15 in Nashville, and just always knew that that was a place where I wanted to live. So now I have my own place right here on the west side in Bellevue, and I'm staying.
And you're coming up on 4 years there.
Yeah, it's been just over 3.5, so 4 years will be October 3rd.
Is it everything you hoped it would be at this point?
Oh yeah, Music City is literally the place where you can get things done. I was just telling you before we went live, we were playing over at Johnny Cash's yesterday with, Luke Combs, drummer, and stuff like that. To have stuff like that happen and to be able to play with that type of caliber of musicians is something I'm really grateful for. And to be able to write with the people I've been able to write with just because I'm physically here in Music City has been really fun. Lots of new songs. I've been writing a lot of new stuff.
Well, now that they know a bit about Kirsty Krause, I want to introduce them to some of your music, and I want to start out with the song Thirsty. Tell us about the significance of this one. Thirsty
is so special to me. It is a song that shows my vulnerable side for me. I have a hard time trusting people in a relationship and really being able to open my heart. And that's what the song is about. And it's even more awesome that the title is Thirsty, because I tell a lot of people my name rhymes with thirsty. So for a long time, I was writing songs where thirsty, the word, was somewhere in the verse or somewhere in the song. But now this song, it's the title. So I've always kind of kept that word around, and it was really cool that it was able to be spun in a way that was so meaningful to me. So.
Also, what you affectionately call your fans as well.
The Thirsties, yes.
Right. Well, here it is now. This is Kirsty Krause with Thirsty on Inside Farm Life.
I'm thirsty for your love. I just want to drink you up. Fill my heart till the top. Pour me another cup of your love. You are my remedy when life tries to defeat me. Hold my head underwater and you'll be the air I breathe. I'm not ready to show you everything. Building up courage in another drink. Bring me close and don't let me leave. I am so thirsty. Round about now, I'll put on my dancing shoes. And I would dance right out of this room. But I wanna stay right here with you. I am so thirsty. When did you say goodnight to me? Every word just right. My whole body smiles and I'm lucky that you are mine. I shake and shiver when you stare me down. Your mahogany eyes are a perfect brown. You hold my hand and I found my ground. I feel so damn good and my heart is pounding. But I'm not ready to show you everything. Building up courage in another drink. Bring me closer, don't let me leave. I am so thirsty. Right about now, I'll put on my dancing shoes. And I would dance right out of this room. But I wanna stay right here with you. I am so thirsty. I've always believed and I've waited so long to hold you in my arms. It hasn't been easy, but I found what I've always been looking for. I'm thirsty for your love. I just wanna drink you up and fill my heart till the top. I'm not ready to show you everything. Building up courage in another drink. So bring me close and don't let me leave. I am so thirsty. Right about now, I'll put on my dancing shoes. I would dance right out of this room. I wanna stay right here with you. I am so thirsty.
Well, you and I last talked on my previous show, and at that time we were contemplating what life would look like on the other side of the pandemic. And as things have started to open up, you haven't wasted a second. You've dropped a new single, and you've gotten right out on the road supporting it with tour dates from your native Wisconsin all the way to Lynchburg, Tennessee, where you were this past weekend performing with the likes of Cody Jinks, Hardy, Walker Hayes, Cody Purvis, our buddy Lucas Hogue, and Joe and Martina. What a lineup that was.
You know, haven't skipped a beat. I'm so ready for live music to be back. The fact that I just got to play on one of the biggest, country music festivals, like right near Nashville, was so cool. They asked for me back this year, and I'm ready. I'm ready to get more and more out on the road. We're looking at Florida, we're looking at dates for Arizona and Texas and Colorado and, of course, the Midwest.
So what was it like being in front of large crowds again?
It felt really good. It just, a lot of times when I step on stage, and especially in a place like that, I'm feeding off the band, I'm feeding off the crowd, and I'm so happy to be there and sharing new music. Like 2 days ago, we tried a new song I just posted on my Instagram called Selfish, and for me, that was my first time hearing it with a full band and hearing it come to life. So it brings me so much joy to be able to not only hear it myself and be like grooving with the band, but see people in the audience grooving with that song and their reaction to it. And that's been, it's been a long time for that. So it's really good to be able to see that reaction firsthand with the humans, like right there.
And if you don't already do it, make sure you go follow Kirsty on Instagram so you can check out that song. You talk about sassy songs. That's a sassy little number too.
Yeah, Selfish I wrote with Emily Kroll, who just broke the Billboard charts. It was amazing with Priscilla Block's songs. And that song is really about taking time for yourself. And like, no matter what, feel free to unplug, say no, take that time. I think I reference yoga and taking a bath and throwing your hair in a bun and watching reruns and all that stuff. So it's a really fun song. I think a lot of people can relate to it.
Well, I think a lot of people probably tapped into that side during the pandemic. And I want to go back and talk about that pandemic shutdown period a bit, because it came at a time when you were really trying to get music out there and you were building some momentum. So how did you use that time to do the things that would set you up for success on the other side of the shutdown?
Yeah, I mean, normally around that February, March time, I'm kind of wrapping up what the entire year is going to look like for shows. So I would be in my email, like all up in my email, coordinating dates. So I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Like, obviously those emails would be useless. So I started emailing and reaching out to any sort of brands like yourself. I think we got together over the quarantine and did something like this. And I would introduce myself to any sort of brand, whether it was an Instagram message or an email to the UK, to Australia, and really try to utilize what was happening online. Like who can I meet? And now I fast forward today, I use the word lovely, like all the time, like on the regular. I use the word class from Ireland, I'm like, oh, that's class. And it totally has rubbed off on me, because I pretty much talk to people across the pond as much as I talk to people here.
So as I mentioned a bit ago, you recently had a number of stops in Wisconsin. What was it like being back there playing for the home folks again?
Oh my gosh. I feel like I went right back into my roots, which felt so good. I was talking to a friend on the phone, and I was like, up in rural, in the sticks. Like, that's where we were. That's where my cabin is. We did a little run around northern Wisconsin. I have a family cabin up there on a private lake. And so if I'm not playing a big festival for the 4th of July, I want to be up there. I want to see my grandparents. I want to grill out with my family and just enjoy the lake, enjoy the weather. And we got really lucky with the weather. But being up in the sticks and hanging out with all those people, like, I feel like the hick in me came right back. Like, those are my people. I understand them. The stories, everybody in Wisconsin, I feel like, loves telling stories. Yeah. And they all, and it's just, they elaborate it, and it's so much, it was just so much fun. All of the venues took really good care of us. I even got a new sweatshirt from Sweetwater, which I was really pumped about. And yeah, and we got to see lots of fireworks.
I think that kind of gets lost in Nashville sometimes, and that's something that's been a big mission of ours, trying to, as we say every week, take it back to the country. This is the music and the people this music was created for. Here was the people in the sticks, so to speak.
Absolutely. And I feel like I got so much inspiration for new songs as well. I really am going back to my roots with that kind of stuff. And lots of the songs I've been writing are very, very much for those people and for us to celebrate the country life.
We talked about grilling earlier. One of the things you did to kind of kick off the summer was Bratfest. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I'm so happy that Dane County was able to still do a version of Bratfest. It wasn't the big full-blown version, but I actually did 5 shows in like 3 days and got to meet so many new people. I got to sell merch, which is amazing because this was my first time coming up there and being able to play Bratfest with a record in hand and having that available with t-shirts and all that stuff. This is my first time, so it felt really good to be able to take pictures with my original Thirsties and meet new people and have them join the journey, which is awesome.
So how do you like your brats prepared?
Oh, well, first they gotta be boiled in beer for like at least 3 hours. 3 hours minimum. And if you can get like a specialty beer, a Spotted Cow, or any sort of like a dark porter is what I like. And then you put it on the grill, put it in the bun. And once you get it on the bun, there's onions, mustard, and a little bit of like a relish type of thing. I also tried sauerkraut for the first time in a really long time and realized that I like that too. So if there's sauerkraut available, put a little bit on that. After all, my last name is Kraus, guys.
You had me all the way up until there.
It's like pickled. Like I tried pickled sauerkraut. It's kind of like a pickledy thing. I was over at my buddy Jacob Vance's place, and for Bratfest, we were rehearsing for one of the shows, and he had that sauerkraut in his fridge.
Well, you definitely had me at Spotted Cow.
There you go. You had it?
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie. I found when I was packing to go to Wisconsin, I found a hidden pack of Spotted Cow in one of my closets, and it's honestly from my parents who hid the beer for themselves the next time they come to visit. So it's not like it's in the fridge for everybody. It's just for them. And I found it, and I was like, there you go. You know you're from Wisconsin when you have that.
I see a window of opportunity here. I need a new Spotted Cow mule to haul it back when they're coming through this way on the way to Nashville. So we have to give you a call on that one.
Yeah, bring the Spotted Cow. Anytime you come, we'll be glad to take it off your hands.
Love it. And you're going to be up that way again next month. You've got some shows you're doing with Lanco, also with Drake White and Kip Moore.
Yes, super excited for Country on the Berg. That's the end of August. And that's going to be then the next night. I'm kicking off the festival, which is awesome, right in Cedarburg, Wisconsin. And also the next night is Easton Corbin and Billy Currington and Frankie Ballard. So I'm super excited. That's a killer lineup. I'm excited to represent female, women of country for that festival. And no pressure, but yeah, I'm pumped. I'm actually flying back to Wisconsin on the 14th, so on Wednesday, to finish up a show, and that's when I'm doing a show with Lanco.
Earlier you talked about some of the musicians that you worked with and surround yourself with, and that's so important. And, really having a good team in general is so important. Good co-writers, good producers. It's all paramount to your success as an artist. Tell me a bit about the people you've been working with lately.
Yeah, I mean, I have, as far as the core of the team, my mom is actually my CFO, like admin help, everything. Things have been getting crazy in such a good way. I think I told you, the phone's been blowing up, so I can't complain at all. But of course, can't do it alone. So having my friend Katie Brose and also Rob Reiser, another artist here in Nashville, support me so much as far as physically at shows when I'm in Nashville, like carrying things, letting me just be the artist. That kind of stuff helps tremendously. I have some graphics, help with graphics, Jeff McMahon, and also Jake Taylor helping with video. Booking agents, any people helping to book, especially in Florida and stuff. That's really helpful. But yeah, PR company, can't forget. Perkins Publicity, I just partnered with them to release the single, and coming up with the album release. They are helping me tremendously. I've gotten on some great brands like Cowgirl Magazine and all this stuff. And then the band, I couldn't do shows without a really kick-ass band. So the team is small, but it is mighty, and I'm looking at getting some help with social media as well, so I can really focus on really taking advantage of the fact that the world is opening up and we can do more bookings.
It's opening up quickly, isn't it? It's been just the last 4 or 5 weeks. If you would have taken it back to like December, January, everybody's like, we don't know what's going to happen, in 2021, if we can even get out at all. And then a lot of people are saying, well, maybe the second half of the year. But all of a sudden, man, things just in really about late May, early June opened up. And then all of a sudden it was like this explosion of everybody just cramming in tour dates all of a sudden. And all these festivals you didn't think were going to happen are packing in people shoulder to shoulder. What's that experience been like to watch that? Because it almost feels like a sprint right out of the gate here to try to get dates on the calendar and kind of be one of the first ones to put your music out there.
It's very weird. It's very weird to watch. Some of the festivals that were the end of May, or CMA Fest, the beginning of June, they opted to not do it this year because there was so much unknown. And so I feel like they were like, we can't post about it. Like, we can't just sit here and be like, yep, we're still on, when everything is so unknown. Where the festivals that are more in the end of August, September, they were kind of waiting to see, so they're able to still go on, which is awesome. But yeah, we're all, as artists that are on the sea level, as artists that are, up till Luke Combs, like, we're all talking all these festivals right now. Like, it is a race, like you're saying. So just putting it out there and always be having conversations. I feel like I've been doing showcases in town now with full band as of a couple weeks ago. So I've been getting a lot of great footage to use for the EPK and to use to be able to book opening slots, whether that looks like acoustic or with a full band. I'm ready.
So one of the things that we like to do here on our Back to the Country segment is expose our listeners to new artists. Who are some of the people in the Nashville music scene that you've been paying attention to here lately?
I love this question. I love that. So tonight, Whiskey Jam is a huge thing in Nashville every Monday and Thursday. And now that it's summertime and now that we are able to be open on these Monday nights, they're having outdoor concert series at Losers. And so Losers and Winners is right next to each other, which is funny if any of you guys have never been. But yeah, tonight Hannah Dasher will be performing, and I'm such a fangirl of her. And she just released, I guess, half of her first half of the EP. So I'm excited to go there tonight. I have a writer's round, and then I'll be heading right over to watch her. So I'm going to probably tell you all females because that's what I love and listen to. Hannah Dasher. I also love Lainey Wilson. Shout out to my new friend Kelly Jean, who's crushing it and having me tonight at the round. I love S.J. McDonald. There's so many female artists that are killing it, and Nashville is... You can tell there's like a wave that's coming underneath us to support that and support female voices being more and more heard. So thank you for having female artists on your show as well. And it feels silly probably to you to even say that because you have been a supporter, but there are brands that weren't. And so having this and treating us all equal and being able to showcase female voices is huge.
Well, as far as we're concerned here, there'll always be an equal and even playing field here, and that's the way it should be. I'm really adamant about that, and just happy to help advance it for all artists, because I know everybody's out there giving it their all. And if you're ever in the Nashville area, definitely Whiskey Jam. One of the hottest things going. Also, Tin Roof down there's got a lot going on, and if you're
look me up.
into more of the traditional stuff, shout out to our buddy Jeff Reed at the Local. They're doing a lot of stuff. American Legion Post 82 there. Honky Tonk Tuesdays is cranking back up again. So many great places to watch, even off Lower Broadway, to go watch artists just in all their glory, getting gritty, and it's fun to watch. And everybody puts so much effort into this stuff, and are just trying to be heard and trying to find their voice. And man, it's a cool thing.
Yeah, I'm so thankful. Jeff we have a round coming up. He gave me July 28th, so I'm like, what females, obviously, do I want to do for this round coming up? And I was like, maybe I could ask like Crystal King and Gabrielle Metz and people that I've written with, and it could be kind of like a celebration night of songs that I've written with other artists. I think that would be cool. So I'm still thinking about all that, but I'm excited that's coming up really quick.
Definitely be paying attention to the socials. So if you're in the Nashville area, you can go check that out when it happens. As we mentioned earlier, the new single Bird is out now. Tell us a bit about this song.
Oh, yes. Bird is so much fun to perform live. It really, originally I thought the song was going to be called Grit Your Teeth, and I found the Google Doc for it on January 19th of 2019. And then I took it very shortly after, and we started writing the song and finishing it. And the fact that we landed on Bird as the hook, basically the song is just about not flipping people off in the moment when you really want to be like, oh, instead of getting angry, let them move on, let it roll off your back, and just focus on the positive. And that's what the song is about.
So put that finger down and vibe to this. This is Bird on Inside Farm Life.
I never thought I could be affected by your criticism, poisoned by your cynicism, lies dim the shine inside of me. Been living in a shadow of clouds, but this is my philosophy now. Hey, hey, I grit my teeth and baby, forget it. You ain't even strong enough to steal my pride. Shit, don't come baby, share it with somebody else who wants to waste their time. I'm gonna raise my cheeks and smile for you. It just from the record, I ain't cursing now. You ain't worth it now. You don't deserve my every breath is my currency. Spend it on the positive, loving how I'm dropping it. I let her fly, spread her wings. Only in my head of my dreams. Read between the pointer and ring. Hey, hey, I grit my teeth and baby, forget it. You ain't even strong enough to steal my pride. Share it, don't come near it, share it with somebody else who wants to waste their time. I'm gonna raise my cheeks and smile for you. Just from the record, I ain't cursing now. You ain't worth it now. You don't deserve my bird. I ain't cursing now. You ain't worth it now. You don't deserve my bird. My every breath is my currency. Spend it on the positive, loving how I'm dropping it. I ain't cursing now. You ain't worth it now. You don't deserve my bird. I ain't cursing now. You ain't worth it now.
So what's on the agenda for Kirsty Krause for the rest of 2021?
Oh, I mean, it's insane. Like I don't want to get cheesy on you guys, no pun intended, but because I'm from Wisconsin. But I'm so grateful that live music is coming back. I'm so grateful that I'm able to do this. It's been 5 years that I've been able to do music full time. And so what that looks like is putting out music, writing a bunch of songs. I have about 11 writes coming up in the next couple weeks. And just a lot of gearing up for 2022 with live shows and doing live shows for 2021. As far as new music, though, I'm going to be releasing this bad boy. It's called Yes You Can, and it is literally, I'm so proud of this record. We put so much effort into putting this together, and that's the last 4 singles that I've released is off this record. There's 11 songs on it with 2 bonus tracks when you buy the physical copy. And the physical copy is actually available right now on my website. So I've been shipping about 3 to 5 of them a week to you name it, whatever city that looks like over in the UK, in the States. It's been really awesome to see the amount of support already for this record and not even have it out yet digitally.
And KirstyKrause.com is where you can go if you want to check that out. So make
Yes.
sure you do that. You talk about all those co-writes. Tell me what that looks like. I mean, how do those go about getting set up? And how do you go about finding the right partners to co-write? Because I know there's a bit of art and science there to that.
Yeah, I'm pretty picky. I think that's only because I've been writing in Nashville with people since I was 15. So I feel like I'm at that place where I know what my strengths are, and I know I have some regulars. Like I have people that I will write with once a month or whenever we can. That I know, like I'll come up with an idea and I'll be like, listen, I'm gonna go and bring that to Joe or Diane Waters because they'll understand this and we'll come up with something so cool. So it's almost like I'll save ideas for them when I go into writes, and I'll just have a bunch of Google Docs. I've been writing with a lot of new people lately. I've been writing with artists, so any sort of write looks a little different. I primarily am, when I get into a writing room, my strength is the concept. It's to tell the story and put it into lyrics. And when I kind of a lot of times I'll give the person who has the guitar in hand, I'll be like, listen, think Brothers Osborne, this song meets Maren Morris, this song, and this is what I like of it. It's probably going to be a mid-tempo. Let me tell you about the idea. And then I'll maybe like hum a little bit, and they'll be like, okay, we understand where you're going with this. So they'll start doing a groove, and then I'm over there literally like typing and shaping the melody, and they're adjusting what they're playing as I'm like coming up with stuff. So that's a lot of times what I write.
So what are some of the long-term goals you have for the business?
Next Women of Country. I have a poster of that in my room when Mickey Guyton was performing, and Kaylee Hammack and Rachel Wammack. So just following in their footsteps, being able to play the Opry whenever I want. Lainey Wilson is also on that poster in my room, and being able to write with whoever I want, work with whoever I want for producers, travel the country and other countries for music, and play the Opry all the time. This is all the goals.
So before we get out of here this week, I want to share one more song that you've put out. This is another sassy little song here called Silver. Tell us about this one.
Yeah, Silver. We did a music video for it as well. I got to rent a BMW for that music video, so that was pretty fun. And Silver I wrote with Erica Sunshine Lee and Ark Fu. And that was our first time getting together with Erica Sunshine Lee, who I love. She's all up in the trop rock community as well, and down in Florida. So we talk all the time, but she is from Georgia, and she's telling me this story about how the guy that she was on and off with for like 4 years or more at the time was trying to get her to settle down in Georgia and be at a house and just like almost like stop being her, like stop doing music, stop traveling. And she's like, listen, you signed up for all of this when I was on the road. Like, what did you think I was going to be like when we were in a relationship? And I was like, that's good. Keep talking. Keep going. And I'm like, we need to write that. Like, you know, and so the song is just like, you signed up for this when I was gone. And it's like, silver just can't be gold. And it's almost kind of a play on you see diamonds, you know, a diamond, and I see red. Like, I need to end this relationship. And it's pretty much just the overlying message is being very true to yourself, so that when you do find somebody, they're along the lines of what you want for your life as well.
But without any further ado, here's a little more sass from Kirsty Krause. This is Silver on Inside Farm Life.
I know we ain't perfect. You're the best thing I ever had, but it ain't working. If there was a magic pill I knew could heal this hurt, I would drop a couple mil. Break lights in my head. You see diamonds, I see red, and you say I'm never home, but you signed up when I was gone. You try to change me, I'm still the same me. Silver just can't be gold. We go round in circles. My mama said, honey, you shouldn't be jumping hurdles. Love ain't supposed to be this hard, though once we start driving us apart. Break lights in my head. You see diamonds, I see red, and you say I'm never home, but you signed up when I was gone. You try to change me, I'm still the same. Silver just can't be gold. You should know better, we can't be together. Silver just can't be gold. You can bring me sugar, babe. We know how it's gonna taste. Even though I'll bend and break, still don't mean I'm gonna stay. Can't convince my heart to feel something that ain't real. You try to change me, I'm still the same me. You don't believe me, silver just can't be gold. Break lights in my head. You see diamonds, I see red, and you say I'm never home, but you signed up when I was gone. You try to change me, I'm still the same me. Silver just can't be gold. You should know better, we can't be together. Silver just can't be gold. You try to change me, I'm still the same me. Silver just can't be gold.
Well, Kirsty, if people want to follow your career, download your music, get some merch, or anything along those lines, how can they go about doing that?
Just go to my website, kirstykrause.com. That has all the links. I'm also a huge fan of Instagram, so feel free to message me on there. I just reached 5,000, which I know maybe some of you sounds like not a lot, but I never participated in the follow unfollow or anything that wasn't organic. So I'm really proud to watch these platforms grow just organically on their own. So thank you for the 5,000 followers. That happened yesterday. But yeah, KirstyKrause.com, Bands in Town, Twitter, Instagram, all the places. Feel free to message me and connect. I would so appreciate it.
And Kirsty, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to join us here on Inside Farm Life, and we hope you'll come back again and again to share new music or just to hang out.
Absolutely. Thank you. Of course, I would love to come back. I was so happy to see your email come through, and just thank you to you and Farm Life Media for having me today. I really, really appreciate it.
And we want to thank you for joining us this week, and we hope you come back again next week. And if you haven't already done so, please go and subscribe to the Inside Farm Life podcast. Each week we bring you agricultural news and features, as well as the best in true country music. You can find it at Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Deezer, Audible, and Odyssey. Well, I tell you what, that's all the time we have for this week, friends and neighbors. The clock on the wall says our time is up here. Again, we want to thank Kirsty Krause for joining us, and we want to thank you too. Until next time, it's Brent Adams. Let's meet up here again next week, shall we? And hey, bring along a friend.
You've been listening to Inside Farm Life, a production of Farm Life Media. If you have topic suggestions for future episodes, drop us a line at brent@farmlifemedia.com. And be sure to check out our website, farmlifemedia.com.